Hello, everyone, and welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. For those of you that are joining me on my YouTube channel, you want to know, you have to know that I appreciate your likes, your shares, your subscribing, your comments. All of it means the world. For those of you that are watching me on my podcast, Fundable by Design, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Today, we're going to jump into something that I think is really, really important. If you've been following me or listening to the past, podcasts or YouTube, you've been hearing me talk about structure. You've been hearing me talk about how to structure your organization. You've been hearing me talk about what structure looks like. And even in the last YouTube and podcast, I talked about what does it look like or what does it cost the organization when the structure is not in place. And so today I want to talk to you about what happens when you build your nonprofit correctly. I want you to know what real transformation look like, okay? And I want to show you what actually happens when your nonprofit is finally built correctly. Over the last several conversations, we've been talking about what it is to start a nonprofit versus what it is to build a nonprofit, what it is to file the paperwork, and what it is to put together the systems, the strategies, the structures to run the organization. And so I want to talk to you about what actually happens when a nonprofit is finally built correctly. Because up until now, we've talked about what's not working. We've talked about why nonprofits struggle. We talked about what's missing in your organization. But the real question is, what changes when you fix it? What changes when you put together your fundraising strategy? What happens when you put your organization together properly? What happens when all the gaps within your organizational structure are filled? All right. There are two completely different experiences in the nonprofit space. And number one, experience one is the most common, right? The most common. This is probably 87 out of 100 organizations, okay? There are two real differences in terms of the nonprofit experience. Experience one, which again is the most common, is where you have inconsistent funding, you have constant stress. There's trying different things or doing everything by yourself, paying for everything out of your own pocket. No board, no fundraising plan, no consistency of revenue, no help. Um, this is where most of you are. Okay. And then there's experience number two. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Experience number two are those organizations that have clarity, that have structure, that have consistency, that have momentum. And the difference is not effort, the difference is structure. Now, what changes first? The first thing that changes when the structure is in place is clarity. Clarity. Before you put the structure in place, you're not sure what's wrong. Your messaging may feel scattered and you're trying different things, right? You're just guessing at what it is that's going to work. After the structure is in place, you know exactly what your organization does. You know exactly what problem you solve. You know exactly how to communicate that to your donors, your funders, your supporters, your contributors. You know what needs to happen next. Most of you are stuck because you don't know what happens next. Jen, I have my program, but I don't know what happens next. Jen, I got the one-time donation, but I don't know what happens next. Jen, I got my paperwork, but I don't know what happens next. Jen, I have my board, but I don't know what happens next. Jen, I wasn't able to get the grant, but I don't know what happens next, right? When your structure is in place, you know what happens next. And that removes confusion immediately. What also changes when your structure is in place, your organization is set up the way that it's supposed to be set up. The next thing that changes is control. Before your organization is structured properly, everything feels reactive, right? We gotta raise money. We gotta do an event. We gotta get a board. We've got to change our mission. We've gotta, right? Everything is reactive. You're guessing again. You're trying to keep up. But after your structure is in place, you have a defined plan. You have a predictable system, process of how things work. You know how things happen, what happens first, what happens second, what happens third. You know the order. You're no longer reacting, you're operating. Most of you are stuck because you're not operating, you're reacting. You're reacting at everything. Your board is reacting. There's no plan, there's no structure, there's no process. You're just reacting. You're not operating. What changes when your organizational structure is in place? This is where most people pay attention. Okay. Before the structure is in place, there's inconsistent donations. You can't get a grant. There's no clear strategy. You have no donors. You're paying for everything out of your pocket, right? And there's no consistency of revenue. There's a start, a stop. There's a scaling back. Why? Because there's inconsistent. You don't have multiple streams of revenue. You maybe you and possibly a few of your board members or your friends giving donations, but there's no consistency. There's no clear strategy. But after you put your organization structure in place, funding becomes predictable. When your structure is in place, funding becomes consistent. Funding becomes aligned, not because money suddenly appeared, but because your organization is now positioned correctly. That we're not talking about our program because your donors, your funders, your supporters, they're not giving to the program. You now know how to position the importance of your mission. You know how to position what's at stake if your mission is not accomplished. You know how to position your case for support. You know how to position your asks and your campaigns. You know how to position what things cost and where money is going to come from. Money's always there. You already have 16 streams of revenue. You don't have to make that up. You already have 16 streams of revenue. Everybody has 8. You don't have to make that up. But you know how to position the organization to get that money without the structure. It's inconsistent. Jen, we don't have any donors. Jen, we don't have any funding. Jen, I'm paying for everything out of my pocket. Jen, we don't have a plan, right? What else happens when your organizational structure is in place? And this is a big one. Your role changes. Before the structure is in place, everything depends on you. You're stretched thin, you're overwhelmed, you're doing everything. You're running the program, you're having to learn how to fundraise, you're having to take classes, your board is not helping me. Everything falls on you. Right? You're paying for everything out of your pocket. But after your structure is in place, you move from doing everything to leading the organization. I want you to hear me now. Your role is the executive director. Your role is the CEO. Your role is not to run the program and everything else. When your structure is in place, you move to leading the organization instead of doing everything. The organization no longer revolves around you. You're able to delegate. You're able to train and to show others around you how they can help. But if the structure is not there, that's impossible. What happens internally when the structure is in place? Internally, everything starts to align. What does that look like? Now your board is functional. They know their roles and responsibility. They have a plan to follow. They're able to help you accomplish the plan. What does it look like? Your systems work together. Your communication systems works with your finance system, works with your fundraising system. All of those things work together. That results in your messaging being consistent. And that also results in now your execution of the program, and the benefit and the impact of the program also improves. You're no longer trying to piece things together. It's all connected. This is what I think is really important also, that when your structure is in place, emotionally, things change for you. This is what most of you don't talk about. Most people don't talk about this. That before the structure is put in place, there's frustration, there's doubt, there's overwhelm, there's fear, there's insecurity, there's burnout. You're constantly questioning yourself. Am I doing this right? But after the structure is in place, you feel clarity, you feel confidence, you feel direction, you feel stability. Why? Because you're no longer guessing. This is what real transformation looks like. You go from trying to make it work to knowing how it works. Many of you are stuck because you don't know how it works. You don't know how the program works with the funding, with the fundraising strategy, with how to raise money. You don't know how it works. But once your structure is in place, now you go from trying to make it work, and that's where most of you are. You're just grinding, trying to make it work instead of knowing how it works. Listen, this is exactly why I am working with organizational leaders right now to put their organization structures together. And I've been saying this, that now more than ever, it is going to be the nonprofit organizations that are structured properly that are really going to be able to benefit communities in this climate, in this current climate that we're in. And the organizations that are struggling, the organizations that are unclear, the organizations that are doing great work, but cannot be recognized by that work because their organizations are not put together properly. And as a result, that organization not being put together properly is preventing and stopping funding from coming into the organization. Unfortunately, those organizations are going to continue to struggle financially. And as they struggle financially, they then are not able to deliver the program. They're going to have to close their doors. They're going to have to stop the program. Why? We don't have any money. And I'm really working hard to prevent that. I'm working hard to prevent that. Listen, I say this now because you get a chance to see where you are. You get an opportunity to see what's missing. You get an opportunity to just realize what needs to change, right? And for those of you who are ready, this is exactly what I built, I put together for your organization. This is not just a program. This is not ideas. This is not a training. This is structure. This is structure. You've seen what it looks like when it's broken. And now you see what it looks like when it works. You already know what it looks like when it's broken. I want to show you what it looks like when it works so that it can keep working. And the question is, it's up to you to choose. All right. The question is, which one are you going to choose? It's up to you, right? You can continue to operate in a space where your organization is not working, your program is great, but you can't get funding, you can't get supporters, you can't get contributors, you're paying for everything out of your pocket, and that's only going to last for a little bit of while, right? That's not sustainable. Or you put the organization together because that is what is designed to generate the revenue to pay the expenses for the organization and the program. That's the clarity. That's the confidence. That's the consistency. That's the predictability. Many of you are operating with no predictability. You're not able to plan, you're not able to forecast, you're not able to project. You're just kind of on this hamster wheel guessing. That's not how it's supposed to be. And if that is the way that your organization currently is operating, then that shows the donor, the funder, the supporter, the contributor that your organization is weak and not fundable. And it is only when you put that structure together that your donors, your funders, your supporters, your contributors can trust the organization with their money. I'm telling you right now, you get to choose. It's either together or it's not. And only those organizations whose structures are together, where you have consistent funding, you know where your money comes from, you're clear about the message, you know what your donors, your funders, your supporters require, how to cultivate, how to reach, how to communicate. We don't beg for money. We bring value to our communities. We are an asset to our community. So money is not your problem. Structure is. That until your organization is structured, you will not be able to generate the money needed to grow and span that program. And many of you are already experiencing that. All right. So I am offering those of you that are ready the opportunity. I have currently space for 3 in this current cohort. For those of you that are really ready to put your organizations together quickly so that you can begin to raise money right away. Your structure is what raises the money, not your program, not your 501c3 status, not your passion, your structure. All right? When you are ready to make a difference, to be different, to lead differently, to raise the money for your organization, let me know. All right. Thank you all very much for listening and tuning in. I hope that this has been helpful, and I will see you next time.